Hello and welcome everyone. Fourth and One podcast. It's been a while since I've been in front of you. Got a lot of things going on in personal life. Plus, there's not a whole lot not going on right now in terms of college football. There's baseball's in full swing, about a month into things. Basketball's in the postseason. Hockey's in the postseason. So there are plenty of sports out there. If you are a sports fan, please go check those out. Some very entertaining things are going on in the world of sports. But I kind of got on today because I wanted to share with you a news update. If you don't get news updates or ESPN alerts or anything like that, something came across yesterday. I'm recording this on Tuesday, April 28th, 2026, the year of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Brandon Soresby has checked himself into rehab for having a gambling addiction. That is very sad. I'm very proud of the young man. That feels weird to say, but he's probably about 10 years younger than I am, which is also very weird to say, and I don't like it, if I'm being totally honest with all of the listeners/viewers that's watching me right now. Go follow us on Instagram, Fourth and One Podcast, TikTok, Fourth and One Pod. All the other socials are Fourth and One Podcasts. All the words are all spelled out. You got to include podcast on there. So anyway, Brendan Soresby checked himself into rehab for gambling addiction. According to sources, Soresby bet on Indiana football while redshirting there for the Hoosiers as a freshman in 2022. Spoiler alert, they were real bad that year. A season in which he played a single game as a reserve. The bets in 2022, according to sources, were on Indiana to win, and none came in a game where Soresby appeared. So he's down quite a bit of money just if he bet on Indiana to win in 2022, as they didn't do much of that in 2022. Hashtag sick burn. Hashtag I understand they're the defending national champions. This brings me to a larger point of sports gambling in America is out of control. We have streaming service. Me and the wife have all the streaming services, or at least some of them, right? And the big one that she likes to use is Hulu. Right now, her fix is the kind of early seasons of Scrubs. I know they just did a Scrub reboot, so 1 through 8, those seasons of Scrubs. And so she's watching that, and every other commercial is DraftKings or BetRivers or Bet365 or FanDuel. And FanDuel created this whole thing and this whole ad about thrillionaires. You want a thrill? Come be with us. And every time the commercial comes on, because it's got a catchy little jingle to it, and it's people that look just like me and you. There's no supermodels or no real big buff guys, or it's everyday looking people. Not to say that everyday looking people aren't beautiful, because y'all are. But what I'm saying is this commercial wants to appeal to you as an everyday person and thrill. Come to our online casino and gamble with us. Come sports bet with us. And there's a catchy little jingle and everything. It's gotten out of control. And every time that commercial comes on, I say, they just know how to get people addicted to gambling. And so in a new age, or a heightened new age, as it's not exactly new online gambling, but online sports betting, but in an enhanced, in heightened new age where you can bet on anything just about at any time you want. This is a scary moment, and the NCAA needs to make sure that they try to protect these kids and give them resources in order to deal with it. Brendan Soresby, I hope he gets this the treatment he's seeking, and I hope that the NCAA doesn't come down too hard on him. I'm going to guess that they're not even going to come down on him before the season starts. It's going to be like an in-season thing. He's checking himself in. He's doing the right things. I understand that there are rules in the NCAA. You are not allowed to bet on college or pro sports. You're not allowed to sports gamble at all. And maybe that is the rule that you got to live by. So maybe you do need to be harsh, but this is going to be the first of many. Iowa, 2 years ago, Iowa had that big sports bet it where Iowa State, I think Rocco Beck was involved with that at some point in time. Maybe not Rocco Beck, but there was another quarterback at Iowa State that was involved in sports gambling in college. The FBI were involved in Iowa and Iowa State. It was a whole big thing. It's going to grow. As sports gambling is so easily accessible, it is going to grow, and they are going to have to figure out how to help these kids through this time. And no other outside law enforcement is involved with the Soresby situation. So that tells me that really there's nothing nefarious going on here, but he did break the NCAA rule. So it is going to be interesting to see if he's available this season and all this, the entire duration of the season. And in terms of how accessible sports gambling is, I don't know what we can do about that. Bet responsibly, obviously. I take a set amount at the beginning of every year, and once I burn through that, I'm out. I'm done for the season. So I normally do I call them dollar bets, no more than $1 on a certain bet. And it's worked out well for me. But this is something to keep an eye on. Texas Tech could be without. He was the number one prospect in the transfer portal this last winter off season. So it is going to be very interesting for both Texas Tech and Brandon Soresby and how things are managed going forward. Do there need to be more regulations on sports betting? I think absolutely there does. Everyone just needs to chill out with this. Like, I know that this is capitalism and everyone's trying to get the highest margin, but it's okay to only make $500 million. You don't need to make $800 million. 500 will still get everyone paid and still make everyone rich. You know what I'm saying? So that's the underlying issue in terms of just be on the lookout for more news about this Brendan Soresby thing, and I will be right here to cover it for you all here. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the NCAA tournament. Both men's and women's are going to 76 teams. The basketball tournament, terrible. It's a money grab. It's terrible. 68 teams is way too many as it is, or 64, whatever it is right now. It's way too many. No one watch it because they have this little first four in Dayton, Ohio, where, 2 16s play and like 2 11s play or something like that. And, the winner then gets slotted into the main tournament. No one cares. I mean, people care because some people watch it, but I don't need to see 2 500 teams play. Give me the actual tournament that teams that matter are playing, where then it's dwindled down into, the best of the best in the Elite Eight in the Final Four. I don't need all. Expanding to 76 teams does nothing for the product at all, besides a money grab and to engage viewers more. This does nothing for the product. So I'm very disappointed. But what else is new from the NCAA? What else would you expect? And the answer is nothing. Because they are the lowest of the low. They are the grime of the grime. The most incompetent people on the face of the earth. Anyway. Moving on to something else that the NCAA is going to do. They're going to try to enforce regulations, which is you get 5 years to play 5 years of college athletics. So either when you graduate high school, your clock starts. There are no medical waivers. There are no, you could transfer, but there's no there's no red shirting. There's no medical waivers. None of that. No hardship waivers. None of that. You get 5 years from when you graduate or from your 19th birthday, whichever comes first, and you get 5 years. If you used up your eligibility, you used it up. So Charlie Baker says it's not going to be retroactive to the kids right now who may have graduated in like 4 years, right? And they still have a 5th year. That doesn't work for them either. That Charlie Baker is saying once you used up your current eligibility, you used up. This probably won't go into effect until August for next season. The vote is on May 22nd. Their direction to the D1 cabinet is full speed ahead on figuring this out. This would help a lot because right now in college, it's a small bite in a much larger sandwich. I mean, I guess that English works out. I've never been very articulate, but I guess that it is just a small bite of a much larger sandwich that they have to slowly gnaw away at, which is college eligibility and NIL and all of that. So, but this eligibility, this 5 for 5, I think is perfect. You graduate high school, tick, 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 the clock starts. You get 5 years. You don't need a red shirt. Because you can transfer whenever you want. So you can transfer to whatever school is going to agree to play you right away. That's fine, right? So clock starts, you're good to go, right? So this is a very small win if they vote this and if they can uphold this and make teams follow this rule. And that's the thing. They're going to have to punish the teams and universities for violating this rule, not the players. So every time they take the players to court, they lose. But every time they take teams to court or arbitration or whatever, they win. So that is what they're going to have to maintain, that standard with the teams and the programs, that if, like, say if someone graduated when they were 17, they played 5 years, that would be 22, but, they try to get a 23rd because they had an ACL or whatever, you're going to have to punish that team there. Suspend the coach, fine, hit their pocketbook hard. I think that is one thing the NCAA is not taking full advantage of, is hitting the pocketbook of these schools hard. You're going to have to talk their language, and their language is money. Just like with FanDuel and DraftKings and all that, the language is money in 2026 America. So talk that language. Fine them a ridiculous amount of money, and I guarantee you no one will ever break that rule. Ever. And make sure that money that you get from the fine is then redispersed to other scholarships and things like that for low income, and then you look like a good guy. I don't think it's that hard, but maybe it is. Maybe it is. And maybe not. All right, and finally, I watched the Michigan spring game 2 weeks ago now. Bryce Underwood played first quarter. Tommy Carr played quarters 2 through 4. And then Kirk Herbstreit's son, the third-string quarterback, came in, and he played for the blue team, I believe, in the fourth quarter. Some things to note. Michigan is going to have to figure out their offensive line and make sure and sturdy up that, both in run and pass blocking. It's a mixture of starters and not starters. And I understand it's spring ball. It means nothing in the grand scheme of things, but there are things that you see in spring ball that you're like, in fall, if this isn't worked on, that's going to be trouble. So it's run blocking, and most importantly, their tackles pass blocking are going to have to improve as such. I think the weapons on the outside will come along. I think their running back room is very strong with Sevion Hitter. He is a grown man as an 18-year-old. If you take one look at him, if you Google Sevion Hitter, you are going to think that he's 22 years old and in the NFL. He looks like a grown man. And Jordan Marshall, he is a grown man at this point in time. I think he's going to have a tremendous season. Jason Beck calls a heck of a game. At Utah last year, Utah was number 2 in the nation in rushing. That includes service academies who run it all the time, so that's a big accomplishment. So as long as Michigan can get the offensive line right, I think the running game will come. The outside and the tight end game, I think, is very promising, very young, but very promising. And I think if they come along, everything will be fine in the passing game. But the orchestrator of the passing game, obviously, is the quarterback. Bryce Underwood did not have a great spring game. That is very obvious. Again, I'm going to caveat this next 10 to 15 minutes with what I'm about to say with it's a spring game. It means very little. There was a running back from Michigan, and I forget his name because he ended up transferring, and he didn't even Benny Hall. That was his name. Benny Hall was from Georgia, and in a spring game 2-3 years ago, he got in space and made a linebacker in the spring game look silly. And me and my brother were watching the spring game together, a rarity that we watch any sports at all together. And we looked at each other and we said, he's going to be a problem. Never ended up starting, transferred. I'm not even sure if he had a good year last year. I didn't hear anything about him. So, spring games mean very little. That's the caveat to what I'm about to say. Tommy Carr, by far, looked like the best quarterback that Michigan has. The freshman. Bryce Underwood is going to start. I'm not trying to take that from him, and I'm not, and there's no rule against improving, and I think that he has the opportunity to improve and to wow people and be a tremendous college football player at the highest caliber possible. But what I saw in spring was exactly what I saw last fall, which was messy footwork, messy decisions, messy eyes, and inability once you're outside the pocket to be an improviser and do things down the field. There were good moments last year with Bryce Underwood. You put to the Nebraska game, he had a long rushing touchdown. The running game really translated very nice. The Northwestern game, they threw the ball very well, albeit he had some interceptions in there. Maryland, they threw the ball very well. So there are highlights last year for Bryce Underwood. And then there are lowlights from Bryce Underwood. And if you watch the spring game or go and watch Bryce Underwood's lowlights from last year, it is all going to look exactly the same, which is messy footwork, messy decision-making, and messy eyes. And then once you're outside the pocket, more messy decision-making. He's throwing off his back foot a lot. His feet are not aligned. His feet are not throwing to the receiver and driving the football forward to the receiver he wants to throw to. So he's got a lot to work on. Now, he does have a dedicated quarterback coach going into the summer and into the fall, and he's a very hard worker. He is a captain. He was a captain this spring. We'll see if he's a captain this fall. So I'm not saying he cannot improve, and I hope he does, because if he reaches even a semblance of the talent he has, Michigan will be in the college football playoff hands down, because he is extremely talented in throwing the football and running the football. The other thing he really struggled with was everything's a fastball. And again, I saw it in spring. Fastball, fastball, fastball. There's no touch. Whether the guy's 2 feet away from him, 5 feet away from him, or 2 yards, 5 yards, or 15 yards down the field, everything is a fastball right down the pike at 101 miles an hour. So he's going to have to figure that out, and hopefully he does. Tommy Carr, meanwhile, comes in, true freshman. And his brother CJ Carr's starting at Notre Dame. CJ Carr, or Tommy Carr, excuse me, good footwork, good decision-making, touch on the football down the field. What is there not to like? When I watched a full spring game, and I know, and he played with some starters, he played with backup, he played with third string, I'm sure there were fourth string guys in there. The ball moved, and he played very, very well for a true freshman. This is what Kyle Whittingham, comes from the winged helmet connected with the Michigan program. Head coach Kyle Whittingham recently interviewed with USA Today. I'm in the facility at 10 at night, and I walk by the quarterback room, and there's Tommy Carr watching film all by himself. He's completely immersed in his development as far as trying to get better. I'm letting everyone know right now, and this is an extremely hot take. An extremely hot take from spring game. But I'm just going based off of mechanics only. Not performance within the spring game, but looking at how they did their performance. That is what I'm looking at. Tommy Carr at some point in this upcoming season is going to start for the Maize and Blue. And I don't know whether if he is starting, if the season is too far gone. Tommy Carr, and I'll say it again for the people in the back that might get to hear me, so go ahead and turn this up if you're riding with other fans. Tommy Carr is going to start at some point for the Maize and Blue this fall. Based on what I watched mechanically from both Bryce Underwood and Tommy Carr. I hope Bryce Underwood improves because I do think he gives us the best chance to win, but Tommy Carr is underrated athletic. His touch on the ball is great. He is a freshman, so there's that decision making. So Bryce does have that up on him because Bryce has seen more than Tommy Carr at this point in time. But Bryce Underwood's going to have to improve mechanically drastically. And Kyle Whittingham will come out and he will ride and die with Underwood because he was the one recruit he fought to keep when he came on board. But Bryce Underwood, that only gives you so much leash because Kyle Whittingham is under the pertinent of Michigan fans, and Michigan fans demand wins. So you're going to have to win, and it cannot be 9-3 with an embarrassing offensive game against Ohio State. You have to win some games that you're expected to lose. You got to win this Oklahoma game at home. You got to beat Indiana at home. You got to beat Ohio State on the road. 2 of 3. I think you get Penn State at home. Penn State's not going to be an easy out. You have got to improve mechanically in order for this team to reach its full potential. So that's my hot take from spring ball. From Michigan spring ball. I really do think, just based on spring ball, that Tommy Carr is at some point going to be starting this season. And I hope it's not when they're 5-2 and suffer just devastating losses. And then they drop another one because Tommy makes a freshman mistake game or something like that. And now you're out of the college football playoff. Unfortunately, based on your schedule this year in Michigan, I'm expecting you to make the college football playoff. I'm just going to pull it up here for everybody so everyone knows what I'm doing. But here is Michigan's 2026 schedule. It's Western Michigan. It's Oklahoma at home. It's Western, Oklahoma at home, UTEP at home, and Iowa at home. Iowa, very good defense. Who's ever playing quarterback at Iowa, when they're playing Iowa, better not turn the ball over or you're losing that game. Then you go to Minnesota. You got better athletes. You're home for Penn State and home for Indiana. I hate to say it, you better be undefeated by this point in time because I think you could drop both games. Absolutely, you could drop both games. But let's just say you get 1 or 2. Then you go at Rutgers, Michigan State. That's a sneaky game, Pat Fitzgerald. You're at Oregon. That's an L. Home to UCLA and Ohio State. If you're going to drop 3 games, it better not be to Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State. You better beat Oklahoma in one of the Big 10, Big 3, Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State. You play the current Big 3 in the Big 10. So Michigan's going to have to figure that out. Kyle Whittingham's got a long season ahead of him, and Bryce Underwood definitely needs to improve mechanically for this to work out. That'll do it for me today. I don't even know if I'll end up posting this. I just felt like recording something. Got my work done today. My day off, so got my house chores done, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to sign off here if I can find the out music, and that'll do it for now. wash your hands, you filthy animals. And until next time, this has been Captain Boring. God bless you. Peace out.